After a tumultuous and successful 2-month tour of Australia, the Duke of Edinburgh and Queen Elizabeth are ready to sail from Fremantle, homeward bound. Prevented by a polio epidemic from shaking hands, prominent Australians, including Prime Minister Menzies and Dame Menzies, say their last farewells. Governor General Slim salutes smartly, and the young visitors mount the gangplank of the Royal Yacht Gothic. This is a poignant leave-taking for Elizabeth, who just for a moment lets her feelings show a little. As the ship pulls out, Elizabeth, young monarch linking an old empire, salutes the subjects she has come to know in 14,000 miles of travel and ceremonies across the Australian continent. And so Elizabeth and Philip sail away with their memories. The Calverton Colliery in Nottinghamshire, England, is visited by Princess Margaret, who's seeing her first coal mine, while the local folks see their first princess in miner's costume. Margaret's wearing coveralls and kerchief as she starts the quarter-mile descent below the earth to one of Britain's biggest mines. Up again after an hour's tour, Margaret finds the crowd waiting. There's a silver miner's land for a princess who's gone underground. From Moscow, far behind the Iron Curtain, come rare films of Election Day in the Soviet Union. More than 120 million Russians turn out to vote for the Communist Party's candidates, unopposed, of course, for the Supreme Soviet, the nation's highest legislative body. Since it's strictly no contest in Russia's people's democracy, the balloting proceeds smoothly. But these films, which show Marshal Boudinny and another Red leader, Marshal Voroshilov, make history. Soviet Foreign Minister Molotov appears with his wife, breaking an old commie custom about women remaining in the background. Madame Malenkov also turns up with her husband, the first time she's been seen in public. Mocking the ballot box, Malenkov carries on a tradition of tyranny. Charles Lindbergh becomes a brigadier general in the Air Force Reserve, as he did 27 years ago after his historic flight to Paris in the spirit of St. Louis. America's lone eagle responds to his country's call to duty, ready to serve in the best way he can. In Washington today, Air Force Secretary Talbert administers the oath to Lindy, who will serve on a committee selecting the site for the nation's first Air Force Academy.
25 Korean war orphans who comprise the Bong Son Hwa, which means Balsam Flower Choir, are leaving home for a singing tour in America if tears don't stop the expedition before it starts. They'll raise funds for Korean relief. Arriving in New York, the young visitors quite properly say, "How do you do?"
With a few sweeping gestures of his hands, the great Ricciardi lifts his 118-pound assistant into the air in his famous levitation illusion at a Rome theater. Like many great arts, it's all in the hands, like directing an orchestra or scrambling eggs. Getting her started is one thing, stopping her is another. But it's nothing for Ricciardi. Ricciardi demonstrates that he doesn't use wires or similar gadgets that might get him expelled from the Magicians' Union. Starting her down again only takes one hand, but Ricciardi, the cautious type, risks no accidents. It isn't exactly a job that keeps his hands full, but his future is nearly always up in the air. Golfdom's greatest, Sam Snead and Ben Hogan, are the favorites in the Masters tournament. But it's Billy Joe Pathe, a little-known amateur, who almost steals the show from the old pros. Snead, a two-time Masters winner, is in second place starting the final round. Hogan, the defending champion, is hoping to become the first golfer to win the coveted crown 2 years in a row. Brilliant Ben, pacing the field into the last 18 holes, is running into trouble on the rugged Augusta course. The icy-nerved Texan sees his putting touch desert him on the tricky, lightning-fast greens. Pathe, fighting to the last hole, just misses catching Hogan. But Snead ties Ben, playing brilliantly and putting coolly under tremendous pressure. Going on in the playoff to win by a stroke over Hogan, Slam and Sam snares his third Masters championship. Kids from 2 to 12, pin weights to paperweights, square off in the annual Navy Junior Boxing Finals at Annapolis. I'll murder the bum. They're on their own now, so let the fists fall where they may. The pair of Pee-wee pugilists mix up more mayhem until... Still, it takes more than a cut lip to force these pot squatters out of action. There must be some place to hide. Ringside experts urge our young hero into combat, and fired up now, he swings, smacks, and shellacks his tormentor as fast as his little arms will let him. Just proves an old Navy motto, don't give up the ship.